as a public, as a society, we're incapable of listening to each other's points of view. We're only accusing each other. Sometimes we're in a situation where, like, a country of 1.3 billion hurt sentiments, 135 crore hurt sentiments, basically. Social media was supposed to be something that would connect us, that would be good, but instead it's just becoming a place of very, very in the pits kind of discourse, hateful nonsense, utter rubbish. Reason why the OTT is a special place, and the reason why the OTT is a fun place, is precisely that there is no censorship. Who are we protecting and from what? It's all out there anyway. Yes, there is glamour. Yes, there is fame. Yes, there is money. Yes, there is success. I would say that actors, like themselves, are also just human beings doing a job.
Hello everyone and welcome to midday.com. I'm Supriya Narya and today with me is the incredibly talented Swara Bhaskar. Hi Swara, how are you doing?
Hi.
How's the lockdown been going for you?
I mean, the lockdown has actually been kind of excellent for me, and I know this is an odd thing to say because we're all going through tough times, but I've actually been very privileged, of course, to have a lockdown that has been 2 days before the lockdown. I was in Bombay for the first 50 days, and I got a pet. I adopted a rescue pup. So I spent the first 2 months of the lockdown getting to know him and bonding with him. And then my mom had hurt herself, so I drove from Bombay to Delhi, got lots of permissions, and came to Delhi with my 5 pets. And I've been in Delhi with my parents ever since, which has just been beautiful. Though, as you could see earlier in the video, have to negotiate to be able to go out anywhere. But it's been amazing. And then, of course, when I was here, I was initially did some work with migrants, with other NGOs that were working on migrant relief. Dubbed for 2 of my shows, including Flesh from Delhi. Written a chapter for a book, and have had 2 releases already. The lockdown.
Oh, amazing!
And Flesh now, so I'm feeling pretty good. I've had a really productive year, actually, weirdly, despite the lockdown.
And I have to congratulate you for Raspberry and as well as for Flesh. I was just watching Flesh and it is such an intense, gripping, gritty series. Like, it makes your stomach churn at the same time you're hooked onto it from the very first episode. You know, I wanted to know from you, what were the first thoughts that ran through your mind when you got this script, when it was offered to you?
I mean, it was really 3 things. One was, of course, the story, which was very, very interesting. And I remember when I read, and this is always something that is when I read a script, I always judge the script basis on how much time did it take me to read it. Was I able to read it start to finish, or did I read it and then I was like, I'll come back to it and then come back to it? Because that, if you're able to read a script from start to finish and you're invested in the written word, then you are going to be able, that script will hold in the visual form. So the story, which is great. The issue was really important. Human trafficking, I think, is an issue that we have actually not seen enough of on the screen, apart from maybe Mardani and Love Sonia, which is not even a Bollywood film, and Lakshmi. I don't think it's really something that has been dealt with by Bollywood sort of in a concerted manner. So I thought it was important for the story to be told. And I have never played a cop. So that was a great opportunity for me. So yeah, I didn't want to pass that opportunity up. So that's really what these 3 things are.
Right, like you just said, this is the first time that you're playing, a police officer on screen. What was that kind of prep like for you? Did you meet anyone from the department, or did you do any kind of research on those lines?
Yeah, so I had 2 kinds of prep. One was, of course, because I don't really know any police officers personally, nothing in the family or so on. So I don't really know what their lives are like, what their challenges are like. So the first thing that I had to do was really to meet police officers, chat with them, get to know not just their lives, their routines, but also just what are their views, just about anything, about life, about, how does being a cop change how you think about the world. And I met men and women because obviously I wanted to also understand the like a female cop, what does that do? And people from the IPS cadre, but also from Maharashtra state cadre. And it was very interesting that I found the one thing, of course, everyone had their own experiences and stories to share. The one thing that actually ran common was that there was a frustration that I saw in all the cops about how they risk their lives, but how easy it is for criminals and the accused to manipulate the system and to exploit the legal loopholes in any case and basically get away. So that was something I noticed, and then I picked that up and made that emotional motivating factor for Radha. So you see Radha, there is a frustration about her all the time, and she has that frustration. So her battle, she's not just battling the criminals, she's also battling the system. She's
System.
constantly at it with the system. So that was very interesting perspective for me. Then of course there was all the training for the gun, which was a disaster. Hated it. My least favorite part of the show. And that there's a video which I put up of me sort of shooting the gun and that first time reaction, which is horrible. Then of course a little bit of understanding how the rigs work and so on, and running. I had to train for running because Danish, the first time he looked at the shot of me running, he was like, "You run like Phoebe from Friends." And I was like, "Hey." And then I started doing classes for running, to run for camera with an athlete and a yoga instructor who's also been an athlete, Abhishek Sharma. And he actually taught me, he was like, "All right, how much of a leg do you lift? Do you land on your toes or on your heel? And how much of your hand should move?" And so all of that. So it's very funny. Like there's a character arc in the series. There's also my running arc. So from the first episode to the last episode, my running improves in the show.
So Swara, when it comes to certain scenes, not everyone is always comfortable with doing things that push them out of their comfort zone. So how did you approach that?
It's a very simple rule. I think most actors who will agree that the job of acting and your job as an actor is to actually keep stepping out of your comfort zone, right? That is our very job. And one of the most basic exercises that you do in any theatre workshop is the exercise, and it's literally it's the beginner's exercises, is to break your inhibitions. So that is the job of an actor. You have to, we are not the audience. It is not our job to judge the character or what the character is doing. It is our job to find a justification for what the character is doing from the text and play that and present that in as convincing a manner as possible to the audience. So that is the job, and that is what I have always aimed to do. And that's how I deal with any scene that makes me uncomfortable. It's not me doing it. It's it's basically my character, and I have to be aware of that. And that's really how I approach it. Yeah, that's true for sex scenes. That's true for kissing scenes. That's true for violence scenes. I mean, of course, you don't want to be. I mean, beyond a point, there's also the intention. And I always feel that at the stage where you're reading the script, that is where you should quickly recognize what the intention of the story is, what the intention of the maker is. And if you don't agree with the intention, don't be part of it. As simple as that. So I'm actually quite clear about all of this.
You avenged that guy in the first episode by shooting him. So could you relate with that character in some way, the frustration and the anger that people have with them? Could you kind of relate with your character?
Not in every way. But as I said, it is not my job to relate with the character.
Right.
It is my job to be able to find the emotional motivation for her actions in the script and play that part. So if you ask me personally, what is my opinion about encounters? Not just encounters, but more about this idea of quick fix justice, instant justice. Just killing all the criminals. This kind of very mob justice mentality
Defies the law.
I don't agree with it. I think that there is a reason why we have the judiciary. There is a reason why we have the law. I think that the basis for any society that is democratic, that is civilized, is that even criminals deserve a fair trial, and justice will be done and punishment will be given, but after a fair trial. And that is really the marker of a civilized society. It is the marker of a democratic society. So I personally do not necessarily agree with Radha's position, for example, on wanting to kill all sex traffickers. Though, of course, if you ask me about the character and if you watch the show, you understand where she's coming from.
Right.
You completely understand what that frustration is. And we have to also, when we talk about police brutality, we also have to think about the kind of lives they lead. Yeah, like what is it that leads to that brutalization of our uniformed personnel? Look at the kind of conditions they work in. Look at the kind of pays they have. Look at the lack of holidays. Do they have enough equipment? Are they well are they well looked after? Are they is there counseling? Is there so it's a very high pressure job that they're doing. So are we protecting our uniformed personnel from the pressures of their own job and from their own inner demons? I don't think we are. So when we talk about police reform, I think there's also all these things to think about.
And with the trend that's going on these days, like mob justice is something that is becoming more and more something that is, prevailing.
I don't support mob justice in any form, on any issue. I do not. Blanket, do not support it.
For many actors, certain scenes that they shoot, remain with them long after the filming is over. So did you have any such instance in Flesh?
The chase sequences stayed with me.
Yeah.
Because they were so hard. And because I'd never done that level of running and chase. I think the one sequence that really stayed with me was the whole chase that we did, which is in the show. It's in the 5th episode, I think, where I'm chasing Biju
Right.
through the other Lohar Chawl, what is
Till
called
Bandra.
So, yeah, into Varli village and right up to the sea link.
See, yeah.
That we shot over 2 days, and I was like I was dead by the end of that. I got fever on the night of the second day. Actually, the show was a huge learning for me, because I have never done action, and I've never done this kind of physicality, a role that demanded this level of physicality. So that was all very, very sort of interesting for me. And I'm very relieved that people are praising my action. Because I was so scared, I can't even begin to tell you. I was so scared about whether I'd be able to pull it off.
With regards to content and things that come out on web series or films, do you feel like a certain section of the society are very sensitive towards it or are trying to influence the audience in any way?
I think that there has been the whole debate around OTT censorship. And if you ask me personally, I don't support it, because I think that the reason why the OTT is a special place and the reason why the OTT is a fun place is precisely that there is no censorship. And that the reason why we are seeing these new stories, we're being able to watch these new characters is precisely that it is not been censored. I don't think a show like Flesh can be made in its raw grittiness. So I don't believe in censorship. I do believe in certification. I believe in regulation. So I think that every show, and we still do it, every show says that, 18 and above, which is of adult content. So I think it's important that the audiences should also self-regulate, and that parents should regulate what their children are watching. I think that there is nothing wrong with expecting that parents will take responsibility for their underage children and the kind of content they're watching. There's enough apps and technology now for child locks and so on for them to be able to, make sure that that's not happening. And also, let's get real, yeah. The internet is an open space. There's already, look at the exposure levels of our audience. We're literally as content now competing with stuff that Hollywood is doing, that other countries are doing. The Danish, shows which have a lot of amazing content. The British shows that have such amazing content. The American shows, of course, are there. The shows like Narcos, which is from coming out of Mexico. Who are we protecting and from what, really? It's all out there anyway.
Even a smallest of a line or any scene that people object to, and then it becomes like, a boycott, like a public thing that just happens. And where do you see this trend and how do you see it?
I always say that, India, sometimes we're in a situation where like a country of 1.3 billion hurt sentiments, 135 crore hurt sentiments, basically. That's what we are.
You feel like the atmosphere has turned so negative on social media, with a lot of people taking a break from Twitter or other?
I think our public discourse is the pits. Our public discourse is disgusting. If you sit in front of the news channel, you will be able to witness it on a daily basis. I don't understand how anybody can remain sane if they subject themselves to that kind of content regularly. And I think that as a public, as a society, we're incapable of listening to each other, listening to each other's points of view. We're only accusing each other. That's hard. And we're drawing false equivalences. We're letting off. It's a mess. It really is a mess. And I think that the social media was supposed to be something that would connect us, that would be good. But instead, it's just becoming a place of very, very in the pits kind of discourse. And very fractious, polarizing, hateful nonsense, utter rubbish. And the pandemic is not helping. Everyone is at home. So, there is bad scene.
Twitter is something where I think you've said it often that now if you don't trend, you're surprised by that because every other day like we have Swara Bhaskar trending for something or the other. How do you manage to keep yourself sane amidst all the negativity?
I don't look at it. I don't read my comments. I don't check the trends. Half the time I don't know when I'm trending. I'm not tuning into it, quite frankly, because I don't need that kind of rubbish in my life. And it doesn't, it's not a reflection that whatever is happening on Twitter is not a reflection of who I am. It's not a reflection of the work I'm doing. The work I'm doing is flesh. And so when people are commenting on that, I'm willing to engage in that conversation. I'm a human person. I'm not just a Twitter existence, you know. So yeah, I don't tune into it actually. And I spend a lot of time doing other things. Like as I just told you what my pandemic looks like. So I'm actually fairly busy. Oftentimes I just post what I have to post and then I do not even look at the comments.
You know, while faceless trolls are often mean and write mean things, but what happens when, you know, some known people or known influencers come out and say stuff or troll people? How do you even react then? Like, you know, being in the same industry.
As I said, people have the right to their opinion. I have no problem if people have a right to their opinion. Not everyone has to like me. That's fine. But you know, if you're going to put out falsehoods about me in public, I will stand up for myself. You know, I am. It's as simple as that. So I have no problem with anyone having an opinion. I have an opinion and I say it publicly. And if they have an opinion, they can say it publicly as well. But if it's a falsehood, then, you know, anything, you know, it's like saying anything that is said in public, expect for a reaction and expect to be challenged by people who don't agree with you. I don't have a problem with people disagreeing with me and challenging me. So they shouldn't have a problem with being challenged either. It's very simple. I don't take these things personally.
I must say that's a very, very dignified way of taking it and taking that stance. It's really amazing to see that. You know, Swara, I wanted to ask you, with Tanu Weds Manu and Veeredi Wedding, we saw you doing a bit of comedy. Will we get to see you in an out-and-out comedy or a hardcore romantic film?
Those are two genres I've never done. I've never done an out-and-out comedy and I've never done an out-and-out love story. And they are both genres I enjoy. And I really do hope that I get the opportunity to do that.
When you get scripts, do you go looking for specific things or are you just looking at a great script and then going?
No, yeah. I don't look for scripts. Firstly, I barely look for scripts, which is a bad thing. I should, I think, be more proactive in my searching. I don't judge scripts by genre. I judge script for the story, for the character, for the role that I'm being offered, what potential that has, and for the intention of the script. Really, that's all I'm looking at.
And lastly, if you had to give your fans a message, a general message, what would it be?
I would urge my fans to watch Flesh, first of all. It's the first time I've done action and it's a very, very hard-hitting story with a very good intention, well made, and please watch my work and judge me for it. But I would also tell my fans, and not just my fans, I would tell the audience in general to use their brains, actually, and to not fall for every salacious rumor that they hear, to not fall for every toxic and perverse fantasy of their own imagining that they cook up about Bollywood. I would say that actors like themselves are also just human beings doing a job. All right, yes, there is glamour, yes, there is fame, yes, there is money, yes, there is success, but there is also just people who are doing their jobs. And I think that it's very, very important, and I'm saying this at a time when Bollywood is being vilified ceaselessly.
Do you think it's a soft target for people just out to win?
Yeah, it is a soft target, and I would urge audiences to use their brains, quite simply. Like, just try to apply the same logic that you apply to your daily life to the things that you hear about Bollywood as well. And suddenly, a lot of things will not seem as big a hawa as they are being presented.
Thank you so much, Swara. It was amazing talking to you.
Pleasure chatting with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.